got to say thank you. I really do. This morning I went on my Facebook page, one of my 2 or 3, I think I got 3 Facebook pages, but anyway, I went on to one of them, and some comments, I'm glad you don't have to be driving this winter. It's great that you're not on the road this winter. And it just makes me feel like a great big thank you to all of you that are concerned that I'm not out on the roads this winter. And as I read it, I thought, thank you. You know, I was very much appreciative. And then I thought, but I am on the road a little bit. And so let me tell you really fast what's going on here. Back in September, I think it was, middle September, someplace like that, I had this premonition. And I try to follow, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just have these feelings and you just brush them off and don't think about it anymore. And you really don't. But I had one this particular day, and it stuck with me, and my thoughts immediately went, no company is going to allow me to be off for 4 months. I mean, it was just like, they're not going to do that. And the premonition came to me again. So I went and told Bev, I says, I got this, you know, I have nothing against it. In fact, I really have not wanted to drive in the winters, especially this winter. And so I went, she says, I think you need to follow your premonition. And I says, I do too. So I called the company up, Savannah, and I says, and I got their company truck. And I says, okay, I says, you can tell me yes or no, or you can let me go, you can fire me, you can, whatever. But I'd like to have up till right around Christmas Day until May 1st, somewhere in that time limit, I'd like just off. But I know you've got a tractor here, and I'm in over near the West Coast. Tractors come out of Topeka. And I thought, I'd already planned on it. I was going to have to take the tractor with a load to Topeka. Somebody else would have to take over the tractor for the winter. I wouldn't see my tractor again until next spring if I still had a job. And I would fly back home. Well, let's put it this way. I really expected that's what was going to take place. So I thought, well, I don't need to just sit home, because I want to do videos, but there was a bigger reason than that. There really was. The roads today are full of bad drivers. There's a lot of foreign drivers out there on the road. They're coming in from other countries, they've driven in other countries, but they haven't driven in America. The laws are different. We used to have drivers that cared for each other. We drove careful in the winter. It was courteous. Not everybody. I mean, there was a lot that didn't care. But I'd say the majority of drivers cared for each other. You'd slow it down in icy conditions. When somebody was stuck, you actually helped them. You'd carry a shovel. You carried winter clothes that you could help somebody out when they had a problem, which I've done myself. We don't have that on the road anymore. The drivers, nobody, and you need to follow on some of my videos. I think I've got one CB radio story up, maybe 2. I'm going to get 4 out. I'll be doing another one today. But nobody talks. Nobody warns each other about the icy roads. Nobody warns each other about the accidents. There's an accident up ahead. Nobody says Highway 25 is shut down. Nobody talks anymore. And this was the biggest thing that bothered me, is not because of my driving, because I was pushing. I've gone over 3 million miles, but it was the other people around me that's driving. That's what was bothering me most about this. And like I said, I just had this premonition. So I picked up the phone. I have kind of two bosses, one over dispatch and one over the trucks. So I called, I think it was dispatch, and they weren't too thrilled about the idea the first time. I called the guy that owns the trucks, Topeka, and he says, Steve, he says, you're 70 years old. He says, you should be taking it careful. And I says, Hoyt, I've got a deal for you. I says, if you need somebody to keep for my truck to run local, like on the I-5 corridor or something, when there's no snow on the road, rain's fine, black ice now. I says, I will do that. And I says, you just call me, I'll get in the truck, I'll go pick up a trailer, I'll shuffle trailers for the company. I'm talking about Seattle, I'm talking about 300 miles a day, I'm talking about 700 miles a day on some runs back and forth, but not on snowy roads. It's the snow and there's freezing rain. It's not the winter, it's the freezing rain and the snow. And he says, I see no problem. He says, keep the truck. And he says, have you talked with Terry? And I went, yeah. And he says, I'll tell you what, if Terry doesn't want you to do it, he says, you bring the truck here, and I will pay your plane ticket and send you back, fly you back home. And if you want to come back next spring, I'll bring you back. I went, how can you beat that? So, it was, I guess, a couple of weeks later, something like that, and I got a phone call from Terry and dispatch now out of Salt Lake, and I says, Terry, or he called me and he says, Steve, I've been thinking about it, and he says, I think we can do that. I says, thank you. So, am I on the road? Off and on. I've probably driven like 1,000 miles a month, it's all. But probably a little more than that. Probably a couple of 3,000 a month. But I'm staying west, we're staying away from the snows and the ice and days that it's, and they know if it's snowy roads out there, I'm not going to drive on it. And they haven't asked me to. I'll tell you, when you run into a company that stands with their drivers, even one that says, I want 4 months off, I work hard to help that company out. Because they care about me and I care about them. And the premonition I had was there. I'm following it. So far, it's been great. I have made enough money. Of course, Bev and I are out of debt, so that was not an issue. We'd have to go into our savings and, what retirement, what you do when you're retired. Investments and stuff, but I have made enough money to pay most of ours miscellaneous monthly bills. Heat bill, gas in the car, stuff like that. It's been a blessing. And I just want to put this out on Facebook to you viewers that might think I'm off the road. No, I'm not off the road. I'm on the road till May 1st. If the weather breaks, it might be in April. But one of the last thoughts I had was, over the years I've seen and I've heard stories of how drivers that are ready to retire or could be their last run on their retirement, they start letting down that security wall you have as a driver protecting yourself and protecting the others around you. And I have heard of so many drivers that have actually had an accident, and some of them have killed because they've let down their guard. They're going to retire next week, next month, 2 months. And that was another issue, because I'm not letting down, but it's there. If I don't drive, you know, when you're financially got everything in line, and you're over retirement age, when most people are sitting in their rocking chairs with hip replacements or whatever, I feel very good. I had to have none. My health is in good shape. I still can go out there and do a good day's walk. So I'm thank you to every one of you. Sounds like my cell phone sending me messages. Bing, bing, bing. Anyway, each and every one of you have a great day. And thank you, Savannah, for being the company you are. Steve Allen, and I'll see you later.